You got to be quiet if you're going to be here.
What's their names?
What's their names? Their names? Florence and Callum.
I suppose we just have a conversation. I can ask you the question.
Oh, you will ask me the question.
Florence is a lady's name, and Callum is a man's name. So which one do you think it is?
How did I get into farming? Right. Well, my father was a market trader in Swansea Market. We didn't have any land, but we had a big garden. I took an interest in growing lettuce and kidney beans for my father to sell in the market. So it was a couple of pennies for me, so to speak. I'm going back when I'm 10, 11 years of age now.
I farm at Western Slade Farm in Oxwich on the Gower, on the south side of the peninsula. My father came here as a tenant in 1950, and my parents had a cow as a wedding present, and they started with nothing at all.
Just before my father died, I was 16, and we managed to rent 5 acres of land off a neighbour of ours, and that's how I started farming. My father died then. I went into Swansea Market to take over the business for a short time. There's more money in it than was farming, but I never really liked it.
There's many things.
So then I just accumulated land as the years went on, with the help of Lloyd's Bank, unfortunately.
I didn't know any farmers before I met John, really. When we met, I was teaching, so I did spend 2 more years up in Mid Wales after marrying John. I was teaching A-level mathematics and a lovely group. Came back and we set up farm together then. Always been quite obsessed with cows. My gran had a dairy farm and she sold milk around the houses.
I left school at 16 and I worked on the farm for 6 years. I always wanted to be part of the farm, but at the time I had an older brother who died quite young, unfortunately. So on his death I came and farmed with my dad until my dad passed away about 5 years ago. I'm now farming on my own, and my wife as well.
John's parents, when did Mum and Dad come here? 1957. They bought some of John's great-uncle's cows at the time. So all of these then come from descendants from that line. Most of the area had gone out to dairy. So John's one of the last ones here, really.
My family farmed in Llanant for, I'm third generation, so I was effectively born into it. Get used to working cattle and working the land really from a young age. My earliest memory would have been sitting on the tractor with my father doing the silage. And it progressed for me. It was something I've always wanted to do, something I've always really enjoyed doing and keep
It's in your blood, basically.
Going.
It's the same, yeah.
Yeah.
I remember buying 2 yearling freezing heifers. New to cattle entirely, and I had to move these 2. I didn't have a dog or anything like that. It was basically on my own. I had to move these 2 about a mile away. Great big horns in them. So I had a brainwave. I'd put lasso a rope round the horns, and I'd pull these 2 up the road. Well, it didn't quite work. I went about 50 yards and one kicked me really hard. So I was limping up the road. Of course, when I got to the village, well, everybody's laughing at me. I didn't know how to make a halter or anything, so it was a bit embarrassing. I got no good memories of things that gone right.
No.
No, true. I haven't, no. I'm not going to tell you anymore, it's embarrassing.
Oh, look at him jump with the trough. Right. Hang on.
Farming is a job that you can't master. You can master most jobs, but you can't master farming.
Once you get into a routine, it's fine. It's when things go wrong, really. If you've got sick animals, it's harder then.
It's a very isolated job. It can be a very isolated job.
There's nothing worse than things going wrong or things being hard and difficult on your own. And I do know there's an awful lot of Welsh farmers in particular who tend to farm on their own.
It is down to the weather, exactly. It is down to the weather.
I like the differences there in that respect. I think that's part of it that I do actually I like is that it's not always the same, you know.
When I was working in IT at work, you know, financial services, you know, they're always like so deadly serious about this. It's a credit card. Nobody's going to die if they don't tick that box. Or, do you know what I mean? And it gets frustrating over the years. On the farm, it is life and death, and it is real, and it is, you know, what it's all about.
Hello. Short. As a society, we don't pay enough attention to people who look after our children, look after our elders, teach our children and things, and farming, you know, food production. Small family farms have always contributed.
I went through extremely difficult time with financial worries. We got the farm relatively cheap, but, well, I'll give you the figure, I don't care. 500,000, right, for a 165-acre farm, which is cheap. But we were in a catch-22. We couldn't afford to buy it, but I couldn't afford not to buy it. So I went to the bank and I got a massive loan. I was having to find £25,000 a year interest to pay the loans a year. That was just standing still, and I was going backwards.
It's hard to make a living, and you know, most people think by expanding the herd, you know, even out your costs and stuff. But for us, we wouldn't want to go bigger. Really wouldn't want to go bigger. For everyone to be personal, though. To see the cows as personal, then 60 is quite a nice number.
I mean, I don't know what the answer is. We've got to feed everyone. But the supermarket's got a lot to answer for. I just sell directly to customers, and the people who come buy meat off me are the ones who really want to know where their food comes from and really want to know that the animals are high welfare. But there should be more of those people.
Social media, advertising, everyone is dairy is bad, beef is bad. That's it. Everyone needs to be eating some ultra-processed plant-based crap, which has an impact on mental health. We do have a lot of support locally here and across Swansea and Gower, really. But I think it is definitely been amplified in the media, and that does definitely have an impact on how you feel. You know, when we're just trying to, trying to make a living. Providing food for people, it hurts, to be honest. It does, really hurts.
The worry and just the financial pressure was massive, and I was suffering with depression anyway. I might go out to a day and you'd feel okay, then you might find a cow had died or a sheep had died or tractor's broken down, and it would hit you right wrong, rock bottom. As much as my heart is in farming, it had drained me. I was out of it.
I married and I was young and we had children, so I've never been lonely and I've never felt suicidal or anything like that.
Do you think there is quite a there's quite a high instance of
apparently there is,
in rural areas and farming and things like that? Do you think a lot is to do with the people not talking? I've always been very motivated to talk, even if it's to the cows in it or something like that. But how
you don't bloody stop, do you?
But I was very stubborn, and I'm sure a lot of farmers still are very. Perhaps stubborn's the wrong word. You don't feel talking to anybody is going to do any good. If I talk to you today, what can you do for me then? And the answer would be not a lot. And you just think, well, I won't bother talking to you then. It's horrible, but it's true. That's the way I looked at it. But I do know now that it's extremely important to talk. And I firmly believe that men, in particular, end up in worse places because they don't talk.
A lot of farmers, they're risking so much in terms of money, in terms of family time and stuff, and not to be valued. I don't want to tap on the back, but it would be nice to some kind of recognition that as a community we do contribute. Now that I've got away from a lot of the loans
on the farm, I'm okay. I'm still on lithium, but I think I'll be on it all my life. All of us are on a knife edge. And if you fall off that knife the wrong side, like I did, you've had it. I'll talk about it now, but I wouldn't talk about it then. I wouldn't even talk to anybody, let alone talk about things. I would just hide, like a child, really. My wife would have to talk or say to my father, well, he's down the field when I wasn't. I was in the house just hiding. A horrible thing, but I really believe that it's a huge problem that not enough people have addressed in the past. I know it's being addressed now, but once you've got that twisted mentality, God knows what you're going to do. It's still a way of life, irrespective of what people think. It's nothing like the way of life it used to be. But I've still got a far better way of life than we were talking this morning about somebody going on the tube in London. I get up, walk out the door, and I can go and do what I do. And I know I've got the better end of the stick there.
As a farm, we're the only full-time farmers in the area. Everybody's diversified into other businesses because it's easier money. You can't blame people, but they've got a family to keep. They want the same as everybody else, and farming doesn't give you that. It gives you a way of life, but it doesn't get you nice cars. Not if you do it the way we do it, anyway.
How do you feel about your children going into farming? How do we both feel about our children going into farming?
Oh, I'd love them to go into farming. I think I think both of my girls are at home. I got four daughters, but it's in their blood, is definitely. I think they will follow farming.
There's an awful lot of children who will always become involved, never mind how bleak it looks or gets. Because it is. I can't explain it. It's in your blood. It's something you're born into. There's not that many people who come into farming from other careers and enjoy it as much as somebody who's born into it enjoys it, whether you're making money or not.
Lots of red marks here, okay?
How do they get in to buy?
Open that ready.
Yeah, go for it.
2 hands.
That's not there.
Keep it up, this one. The kids sacrifice a lot. We sacrifice it. I understand that, but it's our choice. But the kids have to sacrifice as well, and sometimes you think, oh, will they resent us for it? But I don't think so. If you give Abs the choice between coming out to game or going for a ride in the tractor, I think, which one, Abs? Tractor. Yeah.
My father was the same as me. He didn't blink me into farming, but if I wanted to do it, he would let me. And there's a huge difference in that. Some children are told, you will run the farm, and that's no way forward. If they want to do it, I'll have problems if all 4 of them want to do it, because they'll be bickering and fighting. But if they want to do it, I would do my best to help them. But I'd make sure they know that it's not a bed of roses.
It's a big challenge. Although they're in their 40s, they've been on the farm a long time, but there's still lots of things that they can't do. My wife blames me because I haven't taught them to do it, but again, it's all about time.
We're not finished yet, but it's getting extremely difficult. If you asked any accountant to look at my books, they would say, Andrew, why do you bother getting up in the morning? Because it's not there. So that pull of my wanting to do it is the only thing I've got to keep me going. People will say, and I don't deny them, it's my choice. So it is, but in other ways it's not, because it's my father farmed it. My father farmed here 50 years. My brother farmed it until he passed away. My father and brother and I always wanted it to be our farm. And now that it is our farm, it's bloody hard to keep going then,
They will cope, and I'm pretty sure that they will keep farming. I'm pretty sure. I hope they do anyway. The land will be there here for them after my day, so whether they sell it or farm it, or it's up to them. But I've done my bit.
everything you do is planning for the future, isn't it? Every like now, 2 cows are going to be having AI. There's 2 more calves, isn't there? What bull do we use, and what is she going to produce? It's like an excitement that we're planning, you know, the new shed and stuff. Everything's exciting. If we stayed still and we weren't planning for the future, I think it would be quite hard, especially when you've got a family. You're in it together. We see each other, 4 of us, as like the A-team in a way, and we can, you know, if we pull together, and there will be a future, isn't there?